This is a PowerPoint presentation explaining some background information about Galileo. It'll help you to answer the central historical question of whether or not Galileo was actually a heretic. If you've gotten to this point, you should be familiar with the Protestant Reformation and the Catholic Reformation. We talked about whether or not the Earth or the Sun was the center of the solar system and how we know that. We discussed a little bit about who Galileo was, who Copernicus was, what role the scientific revolution played in this, and finally how Galileo became so famous for his belief, which was because it got him in trouble with the Catholic Church. So, Galileo, during the 17th century, European scholars increasingly tried to understand the natural world through science. Galileo Galilei is one of these scientists, and he is sometimes called the father of scientific reason. Here we're looking at the models of the solar system. Geocentrism is a model that places the Earth at the center of the astronomical system. In this model, other bodies in space orbit around the Earth. Geo comes from the Greek word for Earth. Heliocentrism is a model that places the Sun at the center of the astronomical system. In this model, other bodies in space orbit around the Earth. Helio comes from the Greek word for the Sun. We know that the Earth orbits the Sun, which is at the center of the solar system. Across centuries, some astronomers debated models of their known universes. We know that some early Greek and Indian astronomers challenged aspects of the heliocentric model. Some medieval Islamic and Western European astronomers also raised doubts about the model. But in 17th century Italy, people didn't know that the solar system was but a tiny piece of a much larger galaxy and universe. In Galileo's time and place, nearly everyone believed that the Earth was at the center of the universe, the geocentric model. Even very smart people did not believe the Earth orbited because they couldn't feel it move. This brings us to the problem. So the heliocentric model seemed to contradict the Bible. This passage from Joshua is an example of that. It states, "On the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israel, Joshua said to the Lord in the presence of Israel, 'Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you moon over the valley of Ajalon.' So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, till the nation avenged itself on its enemies, as it is written in the book of Jashar." In the middle of here it says, "Sun, stand still," which would imply that the sun was moving. Or that the sun could be controlled. So Copernicus was one of the first medieval European scientists to challenge this idea, but he knew how radical his theory was. So he waited to publish his book until right before his death, probably, most likely, to avoid persecution. The Council of Trent. This comes into play because the Catholic Church convened the Council of Trent in 1545 to stop the spread of Protestantism and revive the Catholic Church. The council decreed that only the Catholic Church could interpret the Bible and established the Holy Office of the Roman Inquisition to persecute heretics. A heretic is someone whose beliefs go against the Church's official beliefs. Giordano Bruno was another scientist who supported the heliocentric model. Additionally, he correctly theorized that the sun is just one of many moving stars and that the universe contained many planets orbiting other stars. In 1600, he was tried before the Inquisition and burned at the stake. We don't know the exact charges he was found guilty of, because in addition to his astronomical theories, he held many religious beliefs contrary to the Church's doctrines. Which brings us to Galileo. Galileo was born in Pisa, Italy in 1564. He was a religious man, and he even wanted to be a monk at one point. Instead, he studied motion and physics at the University of Pisa. The more he studied, the more he started to believe the heliocentric theory. In 1609, he built a telescope. The observations he made from the telescope convinced him that Copernicus's heliocentric model was right, and Galileo began teaching this model to his students, which led to conflict. In 1615, the Church warned Galileo to stop teaching the heliocentric model. In 1616, the Church banned the works of Copernicus and others that supported heliocentrism. Galileo continued to write and publish ideas about his theory. Pope Urban VIII told Galileo he could discuss Copernicus's theory as long as he didn't say it was absolutely true. His 1632 book, Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems, came too close to arguing the theory was true, and he was brought before the Inquisition as a heretic the following year. So using these facts and two documents, one written by Galileo and one written by the Church, you're going to decide for yourself. Was Galileo really a heretic,